and tell you a little bit more of why Shelly and I have started documenting our life and our home remodel. So here's how our story starts. So about 8 years ago, Shelly and I met for the first time. For me, it was love at first sight. I had to wiggle my way into her heart, convince her I was the guy she'd been looking for, and 6 short months later, we were married.
Obviously, it goes without saying, Kason is a smooth operator, because only about 1.5 years after that, we had twin baby girls on the way, Emberly and Jocelyn.
Since I'm pretty much the epitome of a family guy, I knew we had to have just one more.
And again, those smooth moves worked, and only 19 months later, we had our third daughter, Aubrielle.
I was working my way through school, had a full-time job, and now had 4 fashion-forward ladies in my life to take care of. Our hands were full. Things were moving fast. I was working a job where I got a promotion. I decided to pick my family up and move to Tucson, Arizona.
Let's just say that even though swimming every day was cool, Tucson was hot. Tiny apartment living was the pits, and only having 1 car, 3 kids, and no family close by almost drove us insane.
Work wasn't panning out as planned, so only a few months into our move, we sold almost everything we owned, loaded up the only U-Haul truck we could afford, and headed back home to Utah, jobless, but happy and hopeful. It was the first time in our lives we had no plan, or so I thought. While I had the worry of finding a job on my mind and wondering how I was going to pay for groceries for my family, Shelly was concocting a plan of her own.
While making the long 14-hour drive back to Utah, I had a lot of time to think and ponder. For a few hours during that car ride, I was mad and angry that things didn't work out as planned, and that I was having to forgo the promise of an amazing new job, house, and lifestyle for our little family. I knew that we had to go back to Utah because it was the right thing to do, and although I was happy to return to my old family and friends, I was only mildly happy about returning to our existing home that now had no furniture. Don't get me wrong, it was still almost brand new, a roof over our heads, and we were lucky to have anything, but something about our space just didn't feel like us. And given all that we had just gone through, I couldn't bear the thought of heading back to a dark, empty house. So I did what every self-loathing wife would do with a husband out of work. I decided to take matters into my own hands. I was fully committed to changing the way I thought about my life at that very moment. Whatever awful thought or emotion I was feeling during the rest of that ride, it flew right out the moving van window. We were going to make this not-so-good situation a great one, and it all started with a 5-gallon bucket of primer.
Besides the mattresses on the floor and our clothes, everything we owned camped out in the garage for about 4 months. Every morning, Shelly woke up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed with paintbrush or roller in hand. My new job, between actual job interviews, was now being the painter's assistant. Shelly painted anything that stood still and that was 5'5" or shorter. It was up to me to do the rest. I have to tell you that priming an entire home and repainting it by hand was definitely a full-time job.
And that was my plan all along. Kason and I have always, before anything else, been friends first. And as friends, I knew that not having a job for him, because of the hardworking, go-getting type guy that he was, it would be really hard. So I decided to make one up until a real one came along. Little did I know that I would create home DIY monsters out of both of us. Once we had a taste for how rewarding all of the remodeling on our home was, we just couldn't stop. From the first project of constructing chunky faux baseboards with inexpensive molding to pimping out that small corner kitchen pantry, we've done it together, taking it one space at a time, and the more projects we did, the more people started to ask, how'd you do that? So the House of Smiths blog was born, a place for us to share our family's journey during this home style shift from a deep, rich, primitive color palette to a bright, airy, happy, colorful space that makes us feel like we're finally home.
During the past 2 years, we have compiled dozens of DIY projects on the House of Smiths blog.
And we're really excited to use Minecraft channel as a really awesome catalyst to show you exactly how we do these projects and even take you on a shopping trip of us thrifting so you can see where we buy our stuff and where we get inspired. And as far as DIY goes, you know, it is do it yourself, but I think you have to have basic knowledge and know-how before you jump into any home project. And for us, we've had some really great resources like what? What are some of our resources?
The internet.
The internet, Google, YouTube. There's like a million YouTube videos on how to do home improvement projects. And for us, one of our best resources, and it could be yours as well, is asking people for help. And for us, we've had an awesome resource, which is my dad. Great because he's free and his knowledge is free. And he has taught us a lot about DIY projects, and he has so many great tips and tricks. So at the end of each episode, we're gonna have an awesome TNT for you, which is tools and tips from our handy dad, Paul.
Hi DIYers, it's Paul and it's TNT time, tips and tools. When you start with any home improvement project, success equals satisfaction. And the easiest way to do the job right and to be pleased with the results is to have the right tool for the right job. Start simple and build your confidence. Make sure that you take all safety precautions that you need by wearing eye protection and following any safety instructions on any tools that you use. Start out with basic tools. Here's a kit that I bought from a big box retailer for $30, and it has 144 pieces in it and has all the basics that you would need for any simple home improvement project if you're just starting out. It has a hammer, it has a level, pliers, simple wrenches, everything you would need for less than $30. Besides this, the only other thing you're going to need to start out with is a simple paintbrush. Make sure that you have a place to store your tools so that when it's time to do a project and you go looking for them, you don't have to spend a lot of time hunting down where you left them the last time. That's the nice part about a simple kit like this, is because the storage is built into it. Remember that tools are an investment. They're not an expense. Every tool you buy and every tool you use saves you the money that you would have had to have spent if you hired somebody to do the right job. So don't be afraid to spend a little bit of money on tools, because it will help you do the job better and you'll be more pleased with the results. A little know-how along with the right tools makes your do-it-yourself projects easier, makes it fun, and you'll love the results.